Something has gone terribly wrong. Malaysia was once a nation where students respected their teachers, feared consequences, and understood the difference between right and wrong. But today, we are reading headlines that once seemed unimaginable. Teachers being charged for caning students, teenagers stabbing schoolmates, and horrifying cases of sexual violence involving our youth. So, what happened to us? Have we, the adults, failed our young people? They are symptoms of something deeper, a moral and emotional breakdown that is slowly eroding the very foundation of our society. Just recently, Malaysia was shocked when 2 teachers from a secondary school were charged for caning a 15-year-old boy in the discipline room. Older Malaysians reacted with disbelief, saying that could have been any of us back then. In our days, caning wasn't abuse. It was a message that discipline mattered. It was a symbol of consequence, a reminder that actions have weight. At the same time, we saw another tragedy. A 14-year-old student fatally stabbed his 16-year-old schoolmate in Petaling Jaya, the first stabbing of its kind in Malaysian school history. And not long after, a disturbing rape case involving teenagers emerged. So when events like this happen in our schools, we have to stop and ask, what went wrong? How did we move from fearing teachers to fearing students? Back in the 60s, 70s and 80s, our teachers were strict, sometimes even feared. But that fear came with respect. You didn't talk back, skip homework or challenge authority. That discipline, though tough, built character, accountability and humility. It shaped a generation that respected order. But today, things have changed. Teachers walk on eggshells. Every act of discipline risks becoming a viral video or a police report. We have blurred the line between discipline and abuse, and in doing so, stripped teachers of their authority. When authority disappears, chaos replaces it. And that's exactly what we are seeing today in classrooms, homes, and even society. Here's where the real problem lies: continuity. In Malaysia, what happens in school doesn't continue at home. A teacher might teach respect, but at home, a child may see parents speaking rudely to elders. A school might instill discipline, but at home, there's no routine, no accountability, no structure. So this lack of continuity is what and why education systems like those in Finland, Japan or Korea can't seem to be applied here. Those countries succeed because their homes reinforce the same values taught in schools: reading, reflection, respect for others, and responsibility. But in Malaysia, there seems to be a huge gap, and education stops at the school gate. And when the home doesn't carry the same lessons, children grow up confused, disciplined at school, indulged at home. Education begins at home, and if home doesn't carry the same values, then school lessons fade the moment the bell rings. Schools can only do so much. They cannot carry the burden when parents stop doing their part. We used to see caning as correction, not cruelty. A wake-up call, not an attack. But today, every act of discipline is questioned. Every teacher is scrutinized, and every student is treated like a customer instead of a learner who seeks knowledge. Now look at the West. Many countries banned corporal punishment long ago, yet violence, school shootings, and teenage crime have soared. Meanwhile, in Asian societies like Japan and South Korea, where respect and structure remain cultural pillars, youth violence is much lower. The cane was never the problem. The absence of values is. Now, if we continue to abandon traditional values in the name of modernity, are we truly progressing, or are we losing the moral compass that once held our society together? Parents and educators, this is where reflection begins. How do we build better children when the teachers are punished for reinforcing discipline? How do we teach respect and empathy when home environments model neither? When was the last time we talked to our children about accountability, consequences, or compassion? Now, if we keep protecting children from correction, we'll raise adults who can't handle rejection. If we silence teachers, we silence the moral guardians of the next generation. If we keep defending the carelessness, will breed chaos. This isn't about bringing back the cane just for the sake of it. It's about bringing back respect. Discipline isn't cruelty, it's care with structure. A teacher who corrects a student doesn't do it out of anger, but out of love and duty. Now, if we as adults don't correct our youths, society will eventually will. The truth is, maybe it's not children who have changed. Maybe it's us, the grown adults. We've grown afraid to say no. We've become too busy to correct our children, too worried about judgment from others, and too eager to shield them from discomfort. But discomfort is where growth happens. When a child never faces correction, they grow into adults who can't handle rejection, criticisms, or even failure. We see it every day in workplaces. Young employees quitting at the first sign of pressure, blaming everyone but themselves. Now, that starts at home when parents replace boundaries with indulgence. We used to fear wrongdoings. Now we fear correction. And that's the crisis, not of education, but of values. We often compare ourselves to the past and say, those were simpler times. But simplicity wasn't the reason those generations were stronger. Structure was. A teacher's word meant something. A father's scolding carried weight, and a mother's disappointment was enough to make a child think twice. We didn't need threats of police reports or viral videos to enforce discipline. The community shared moral responsibility. Today, we have modern laws but broken values. So, can punishment deter violence in schools, bullying, rape, and even murder? Alone, maybe not. However, when combined with consistent moral education, strong family guidance and respect for teachers, and crucially, continuity between school and home, it can indeed prevent many of these tragedies. Because punishment, when done right, isn't about pain, it's about correction. The cane itself was symbolic. It reminded us that society cared enough to correct us before life punished us harder. If we continue to fear discipline and fail to create continuity between school and home, we'll end up fearing the consequences of a generation without moral grounding. We'll see more violence, more rebellion, more broken homes. Malaysia doesn't need a return to cruelty. It requires a return to courage. The courage for teachers to teach values again. The courage for parents to say no. And the courage for society to stand firm when it comes to right and wrong. Maybe we've misunderstood discipline all along. It's not the opposite of love. It's love in structure. To correct is to care. Because a nation that's too afraid to discipline its children and too inconsistent in reinforcing school lessons at home will one day have to punish its adults. So before we blame schools or teachers, let's ask ourselves, have we failed to continue discipline at home? Because when we ignore the warning signs, the violence, the rebellion, the moral confusion, we become victims of our own cause. Every stabbing, every assault, every tragedy in our schools reflect what we have neglected at home. Discipline doesn't destroy children, neglect does. So let's not wait for another tragedy to remind us that respect, accountability, and values are not outdated. They are the foundation of a safe, strong, and united Malaysia. Perhaps it's time we stop pointing fingers at teachers and schools. They can't handle every issue when parents themselves turn a blind eye to. Real change starts at home, with parents, with communities, and with all of us as a nation.